Hello there, boys and girls. I hope you're all seated so very comfortably because you've just found yourself in the classroom of a particularly eccentric academy. My name is Cademan David, or as the Winchester brothers might call me, Mr. Cow. I'll be your teacher for all things nerdy and science fiction. And today, we are talking about something a little spooky. Today we are talking about the pilot episode of Supernatural. Good day. So I just rewatched the very first episode of Supernatural, and I must say, pleasantly surprised. It holds up quite a bit. Now, I've watched a lot of these CW shows. I was really into the Arrowverse for a long time, and I have to say, going back and watching Flash and Arrow, it doesn't hold up anywhere near as well as this does. This episode is by no means spectacular, but it establishes what the show is going to be very well, and it's still a fun watch. And it's funny because so many shows have a pretty bad first season, but then get better. I'm looking at you, TNG. But this show, I find, was really the best closer to the beginning. You know, I like a lot of the stuff that they do sort of towards the end of when I consider the show to still be good, with like the Angels and the Apocalypse storyline. I love all that. But it's also good from the very start. Now, of course, they have to establish the rules of the world and they retcon things and stuff like that. But there's something just fun about these early episodes before the rules were established. Before you knew all of the monsters that exist in this world. And you're really just left to assume any sort of monster could show up in the show. Now, I think the Woman in White is an interesting sort of monster to start with. I liked that quite a lot. And I like sort of the relationship between Sam and Dean in the beginning. It's just so very refreshing, but also sort of saddening, seeing how the show looked back when it had a clear direction, before it got lost in the switching up of showrunners and dropped plot lines and retcons all over the place. You know, I look back at this episode and I feel like I know what I'm watching. Not only do I feel like I know what I'm watching, but I enjoy it as well. Later seasons just become a parody of what this is. Which, a few parody episodes every once in a while was fine. And, I really like some of those early, funnier episodes. But as the show goes on, that becomes more and more the norm, as everything becomes a joke of what the show is. And it's very sad, but it also really does make me appreciate the earlier episodes. Also, I have to say, Jensen Ackles, Jared Padalecki, they're very good actors, and they're very good here. I like this show a lot, and I like this episode a lot. Also, one thing that is kind of funny is I just had to shout out that Sam's girlfriend is played by Seth MacFarlane's ex-wife from The Orville, which is a show that I quite like, so be prepared to maybe see reviews of The Orville later on in the channel. But with that being said, I don't have too much more to say about this episode, besides I like it. It sets up what the show is, it sets up this interesting thing with the dad going missing in the journal, and there's this sort of intrigue of what's going on, what happened with the mom, all this stuff, and it's really interesting and really fun. This is the type of television I wish we got now, but now it seems like everything is just a parody. But what did you think of this pilot? Do you like it? Do you like the funnier episodes of Supernatural that become the norm later on down the line? I would be happy to hear all that below, and subscribe for more reviews of Supernatural episodes, as well as Star Trek and Doctor Who and some other things, but mostly right now it's Star Trek and Doctor Who. Occasionally I'll do a Star Wars video, stuff like that. Nerdy stuff. I like it. With that being said, we're out of time, so I am left to dismiss my class, and I hope that you will enroll in my school by clicking subscribe, and I hope I will see you later on. Farewell.